Last week I covered my picks for the top 5 Nintendo failures, but obviously not everything they've done in their history has been that bad. So today I wanted to come back and share with you my choices for the top 5 Nintendo successes. There's no doubt that by the late 1980s, portable gaming was about to boom, with technology getting to a place where portable versions of our favorite games could be duplicated on the go. But while Atari and Sega tried getting into the market, Nintendo was the only one able to come out with a winner. While other devices on the market were able to flaunt their color screens and sleek designs, the Game Boy had an ugly green and black display and was a gigantic brick. So why then was it so successful? Well, first of all, the battery life was tremendously longer than the competition, it was cheaper to manufacture, and let's not forget it came with a copy of Tetris. While the other companies went after flashy selling points, Nintendo realized that keeping things simple would help create a more cost-effective and accessible system, which is a strategy that has helped them keep a hold of the portable gaming market for over 20 years. In 1985, the game studio Rareware was founded by Chris and Tim Stamper, which main focus was on developing NES games. Throughout this time, the company would hustle to create dozens of games and build up a significant amount of profit, which would then be used to buy out Silicon Graphics, which at the time was creating 3D technology. Impressed by Rare's newly purchased 3D graphic division, Nintendo bought a 49% stake in the company in 1994, which allowed them to create some of Nintendo's most successful games, such as Donkey Kong Country, GoldenEye, Killer Instinct, Diddy Kong Racing, Banjo-Kazooie, and many more. By the early 2000s though, a new generation of systems was coming out, and it seemed that Rare was starting to lose its magic touch, with many of the company's key developers leaving to make their own games. Just around this time, Microsoft came by with their deep pockets and paid $375 million to acquire 100% of the business. Over the span of 8 years, Nintendo had Rare creating some of their most memorable games that helped drive sales, and when the opportunity arose, they sold their shares for a massive payday. I would say that's a pretty good investment. Back in 2006, Nintendo hadn't been the king of the home system market for a decade, with them losing majorly to the PlayStation 1 and 2. So for their next device to have a chance against the PlayStation 3, they had to change things up, and that's where the Nintendo Wii came into play. The Wii did something that no other device was able to accomplish: usable motion controls. Before this point, there were things like the Power Glove that were barely usable and were perceived as gimmicks that were a waste of money. But the Wii got the technology down and bundled it with their killer app. Wii Sports sits comfortably as the best-selling console game of all time for a reason. Back in 2006 and 7, it was an experience that gamers and non-gamers alike wanted, and it just so happened to be bundled with every single Wii sold. While people now like to criticize the Wii for its non-HD graphics and shovelware minigame collections, if you look back you'll see one of the best marketed systems of all time. Now if only Nintendo could bring back a little bit of that magic. As anyone who grew up in the late 1990s would tell you, Pokemon was huge. The trading card game, TV show, and video games were monster successes, with it being the talk of every school ground in the world. But Pokemon being successful is not why I put it on this list, but rather how Nintendo has kept it relevant throughout the years. Unlike basically every other craze that has captivated children, Pokemon is different. While everyone thought it would fade off into oblivion by the year 2000, that just wasn't the case. It has been almost 20 years since Pokemon hit store shelves, and yet we have 6 generations of games that are still system sellers, countless major Pokemon card game competitions, and over 800 episodes of the anime. Nintendo and Game Freak have truly crafted a craze that never died out, and because of that it gets the number 2 spot. Back in 1983, the video game industry crashed for many reasons, including an oversaturation of game consoles and absolutely no quality control on the video games coming out, which led many people to believe that the industry was dead. This all changed though when a small Japanese developer named Nintendo, who at the time was mainly known for Donkey Kong, wanted to bring back gaming with their little Famicom system they had already released in Japan. But this wouldn't be a simple task. Since stores had been burned by gaming already, they had no interest in selling a new console, especially one made by an unproven company. So Nintendo changed the design of their system to make it more reminiscent of a VHS player, and bundled it with a robot so it could be marketed as a toy rather than a gaming device to put store chains at ease when selling it. Nintendo's plan ended up working big time, with them single-handedly bringing the gaming industry back from the dead, which is why I feel it's their biggest success. Well, there you have my picks for the top 5 Nintendo successes, and if there's any others that I didn't mention in this video but you feel I should have, please feel free to leave a comment below. Also, you could click here to subscribe, and if you haven't already, you could click here to check out last week's video about the top 5 Nintendo failures. So until next time, thanks for watching.